3 balls. Can you send me some of that water?
He's not afraid to show him off either. He's done it many times. He actually invented the guitar riff for our intro music.
Right.
So you've seen Step Brothers, right?
Yes, it's a long time ago, but yeah.
Yeah, when he says, "I'm gonna put my nuts on your drum set,"
Yeah.
he put his nuts on my drum set. Just
It's
boom.
tristicles.
It was yeah.
You didn't lick them again anyway. The drums, obviously.
Actually, I did. That's what we can do. Never have I ever. You ever played that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Never have I ever licked my drums after a buddy has put their ball sack on them.
I haven't owned a drum set, but I've owned other instruments, but you didn't say them. So I'm safe.
I'm a one trick pony here. I actually played bass one time. They wanted to do that old where, hey, let's do a song, but we all play a different instrument. And like the bass line was like 3 notes, so I was able to learn it in a few minutes and play it. Horribly, I may add.
Because I used to play guitar, but we came to do a performance. It's about 500 or 600. It was a church actually, but we were playing Danny California by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
And our bass player was too nervous and didn't want to do it. So the night before, I was given the information, and my guitar teacher just sort of said, just dun dun dun. I was like, no. I want the whole riff. And we got to the part where my friend was doing a solo, and I completely lost my timing. I had no idea what chord I was on or when, so I just started just hitting random notes just all over the place.
Bass solo.
Once my friend got back onto playing the chords, I knew where I was again then. And as I got back into the back, my guitar teacher just looked up at me and I just went, I know, but nobody noticed. It's fine. And then afterwards, I got all kinds of compliments. Everyone said, "Oh, you're a hell of a bass player." And I was like, "Oh, I know, but I prefer guitar.
Yeah,
I'm trying to play it cool. I'll stick with the guitar for now, but yeah, I know I could nail that."
Yeah, I think mine were 16th notes. Do 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 do. So it was just those 3 chord changes.
Well, I think mine was something like that, but
kind of sounds like a Fat Lip from Sum 41.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, the way I was doing it.
Yeah.
That's how talented I was, and that's why I'm no longer in a band.
They just couldn't keep up with you.
No,
Yeah.
I was playing songs that were 2 years away from being, sent out yet.
You know why I'm not in a band? Severe depression.
See, mine was just pure lack of skill.
True story. I'm working on it though.
Yeah, I was drunk most of the time. So
no, see, I couldn't, because as soon as I would drink more than 2 or 3 beers, my drumsticks would just fly out of my hands. And that's not like me. I never drop sticks.
Yeah. I think some of my old friends have got a video of me, like, I was singing. I have no idea why I was singing because I can't sing.
Were you drunk?
I was drunk.
Because I can't sing, high. And I sing when I'm drunk.
Yeah, and I was scheduled to sing it, but I can't sing, so I have no idea why I decided that was a good idea. And apparently during the solo, I just like stumbled across the stage and started turning up the amp. The guy doing solo, because I couldn't hear it very well. I just stopped and watched him. Apparently, it's just like, yeah. So yeah, good times.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I really do miss those days. They were fun. Having to peel myself out of my bed just to go to practice, and then when show day came, I would be too nervous to eat, and I'd be shaking like right before showtime. So what I started doing, and they started making fun of me, is I would buy. I don't know if you have them there. They have these nutrition shakes. They're called Ensure. They're for mostly like the
Yeah,
elderly.
I've
Like,
seen the commercials.
yeah,
Yeah,
Boost and Ensure. So I used to have packs of those, and I would drink like one or two before a show just so I had something in my system because I couldn't eat. Like I
yeah.
just felt like I was gonna shit myself all day, and nerves killed me. I had crazy stage fright, even though I
Once
was in the back.
I was never nervous. I've never been a nervous person
Oh,
until
good for fucking you.
no, until I got to I would have been 15, and then it hit me like an absolute ton of bricks, and I would puke. If I got really nervous, I would start just puking. That was it. Once I puked once, I was done, completely done. And I did stage acting. I was in a band who performed a few hundred people at a time, and yeah, I would just puke, and that would be it. And it was usually like the moment before I go on stage, the nerves are just boiling up to the point where like this is it. I either puke in this bin or I get out on stage and then I'll calm down. But sometimes it's both.
Yeah, that was usually me. All right, guys, 2 minutes. I got to shit. You guys got to wait. I have to shit. I have to shit. I can't. And then you're on stage. Everything goes away. So I get chronic
Yeah.
migraines. I would have a migraine that entire day, go on stage, it would completely go away. Stomach ache would go away. I'd feel better. The second we hit that last note and we're done, I'd stand up, it would come back with a vengeance. And I was usually throwing up, but because of the migraine, not because I was nervous. Because after the show, I didn't give a damn anymore.
Yeah. See, well, I haven't had a migraine since I was 17.
You
But
bastard.
when I get a migraine, starts off I go blind.
Oh, you get
So
ocular migraines.
first I get this like flashing spot sort of in the middle of my eye, and then I like check each eye to see if they're both doing it. If they're both doing it, I know I'm getting a migraine, and then I know I've got about 10 minutes to get somewhere, otherwise I'm fucked. But then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until all of the center of my vision completely goes and it's all flashing and horrible. Then I start to get the numbness. So starts at the end of my finger and just works its way up over the course of about an hour. And then it reaches your mouth. And when your tongue's numb and your mouth's numb, you sat there like trying not to touch your tongue against any part of your mouth. Otherwise, it sends like shivers and pain throughout your entire body. And like your entire body's numb, blind. Then I get really, really sensitive hearing.
Yeah.
So if I'm like in bed or something and someone's making a noise downstairs, even the tiniest little noise, and it's like bang, bang, bang all the time.
Yeah.
Then you get something like I think they call it the aura, which is like a confusion
Yeah.
state, and that's fucking weird. I once went to boil the kettle because I wanted to make a cup of tea. Boiled the kettle, poured it down my arm, put the kettle in the fridge, went back to bed, and I thought I'd had a cup of tea. I had no fucking clue. Woke up in the morning, I was like scalded all up my arm. What the fuck happened last night?
Must have been some tea. No, see, the way it starts for me is I start with a headache, and I could always tell because it's always a pinpointed spot above either my right or my left eye.
Yeah.
And it's a certain kind of, it's like a pinpoint sharp pain, and I always know. So I can kind of fight it, but I know eventually I have to get somewhere safe because the pain just gets so blinding. I don't go blind or anything, but
Yeah.
I'm super sensitive to light.
Yeah.
I have the sound thing. Yeah, the smallest sounds sound like huge knocks, and my sense of smell becomes amazing, and everything I smell makes me sick. So one of the shows that I had a migraine at that I was throwing up, we were outside, and just the smell of dust as people were walking by, like that got me sick to my stomach. And a friend's girlfriend, there wasn't a bathroom there. They just had porta potties. It was this slaughterhouse that they turned into a music venue. And then during like October, it was a haunted house, like a haunted slaughterhouse. But they didn't have a bathroom there. They just had porta potties. So she uses the porta potty and comes out, and she has her own hand sanitizer, but it was like gingerbread scented. And she was passing it around to everyone that used it. And that smell hit me so hard. And I was like, I need to go to the, nope, not going to make it. Just, I mean, lucky we were in dirt, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I had a friend that used to get them, and she used to go colorblind, which I thought was quite interesting. I find that more weird than going completely blind.
Losing color. That is
Yeah.
strange. I've never heard of that one. Though I do have a red-green color deficiency,
Yeah.
which means I have a hard time telling blue and purple apart. And I thought it was just normal until I couldn't see the numbers inside the little dots, the little test they do. Yeah. So not fun.
But I think because I used to get them when I was really excited about something, which led to me almost learned behavior. I just stopped getting excited about things because it was like I always knew that if I got excited about something, it would get tarnished by having a migraine. So I stopped getting excited about anything. And then I also figured out I think that exertion was doing it.
Okay.
And I used to be a very, very good swimmer. I was like a county champion multiple years in a row in both front crawl and breaststroke. And then I started realizing that swimming was actually giving me migraines because of the amount of physical exertion I was putting on myself. I ended up getting migraines. I noticed because I actually went and played tennis, and I've been playing for like an hour and a half solid, and I was going really hard, drenched in sweat, and then I started getting a migraine, and I was like, maybe that's connected.
Yeah, I've never been a strong swimmer. I just know how not to die.
It's always useful.
Figured that's good enough.
That's a good start. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I live in Arizona. We don't know what water is here anyway. So
yeah. And your water gives you 3 testicles. So
yes, and the water we do have is trying to kill you, like the sun and the foliage and the cactus and the animals and and the air.
Yeah. And the women.
And yeah.
Oh, and the government.
I thought we said we weren't. Yeah, I thought we weren't going to talk about that anymore. Can't escape it.
There is something political. It's actually just broke now. I've been watching the Roland Garros, the tennis French Open.
Okay.
And I don't know if you follow tennis at all, but Naomi Osaka.
Followed Anna Kournikova.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
No, she's 4-time Grand Slam champion. She's about 20 years old. She's been a big supporter. I think she's I don't want to use a politically incorrect term, but I think she's half black and she's half Asian of some descent, I believe.
She's Blasian.
I was going to use that term, but I didn't think I should.
I think we're safe. I don't
think Blasian's offensive.
No,
but
it's not.
I'm sure it is to someone.
It's not.
It's bound to be to someone, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm Polish and Mexican. I'm a Polaxican.
Mexilish, no?
Mexilish. I like Polak and Mexican.
Yeah.
Polacks, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, she's been a big firm supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement, and 4-time Grand Slam champion. And then prior to this tournament, of course, after being in lockdown as well, she said that she was no longer going to fulfill her media obligations for the purpose of her own mental health. I don't know how much she elaborated on it, but basically the French Federation got quite offended by this because they thought they were attacking the interviewers. The way she worded it sounded like she was being saying that the interviewers were putting too much pressure on her and asking mean questions and shit. So she's actually just said that she's pulling out.
She pulled a Marshawn Lynch.
Out the tournament.
Oh, okay. Marshawn Lynch didn't do that. He just wouldn't answer the media.
Yeah. No, well, he turned up, but he'd only
answer with... He would answer with one question that had nothing to do with answer that had nothing to do with the question.
I'm only here so I don't get fined.
Yeah, just here so I won't get fined. Your question? How you doing?
She's pulled out the entire tournament. She won the first round and then pulled out the tournament.
Wow.
So that's a power move there.
That is.
And she hasn't said, well, she hasn't given a time frame, but she said she's going to take some time away from the sport. So she might not be in the next couple of tournaments. Should be very interesting. But I think this stems back to a few of the things we were saying in some of our early podcasts about how putting these sports stars on a pedestal and assuming they're these bulletproof, perfect people is ridiculous. Put yourself in the shoes of someone like her. She's like 20 years old. She's won 4 Grand Slams. She's the most, I think she's the most not commercialized female sports personality in the entire world. You know, she's got all kinds of sponsors that are trying to use her for their ad campaigns.
Yeah.
You know, and then she's got all these massive media obligations where you've got to turn up and do all these interviews that are asking all these questions about Black Lives Matter, social movements, as well as the tennis. And she's got to be expected to play as potentially the #1 tennis player in the world.
Yeah, it's a lot of stress, man.
How the hell can you expect someone to go through that? And granted, yeah, she didn't deal with it well and she worded her tweet wrong. But what the hell do you expect? I mean, she's a 20-year-old girl.
Yeah, I said some dumb shit when I was 20. I still say some dumb shit, but it was like really dumb shit.
Yeah.
Like there was no looking forward. It was just in the moment. There's no, what are the consequences of sending this tweet? No. I don't care. Send.
And these are very sheltered people. I mean, from the ages of about 9 or 10, most of them get sent off to tennis camps. They're living with their coaches, you know, they're living in this little bubble where all it is training. They're not well-rounded and not necessarily mature people.
Yeah, all they know is the sport that they're training.
All they know is the sport. And in this day and age, with the level of competition, no matter what sport you're doing, you have to devote 24 hours a day to being that sports personality.
Well, to be fair, I know NFL does something where they kind of coach you up on interviews and what you can and can't say. Unaware though if they do that in other sports. I would imagine so, because you're so popular, like you say, you're on this pedestal.
I'm sure you could get them yourself, but I have to say, as an organization, the NFL does seem to me to be very different. I imagine basketball is probably quite similar because they have the same sort of college draft system, don't they?
No, they can draft right out of high school.
Oh, is it? Is it not like? All right. But again, it's still a draft system, is it?
Yeah, it's still drafting. Still drafting. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have their own combine, and
I think the whole college or even high school, whatever it is, into the big leagues. I think that's probably for the organization and the fact that it's in one country makes it a lot easier to do that. Because if you think about tennis, they go to a tennis academy, and then as soon as they go on tour, they're going around the entire world. There's no home field. There's no, this is your area. This is where we train.
Yeah.
And then you play your game there, or you play an away game. You've not got your base. These people are touring the entire world the entire time. I just think time, jet lag, all these things must destroy you mentally.
Oh, of course. I have to deal with work and come home to a 5-year-old, and I'm stressed out of my mind. I don't have millions of people, watching me and critiquing my every move and sentence.
Yeah. And these people are trying to have families and lives as well, aside from doing that. Some of them got kids, who they never get to see. Roger Federer, I think he's 4 or 5 kids, I think. But of course, he's one of the richest men in the entire world now. There you go. Which is deserved because of his talent, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd get in trouble if I had massive amounts of money. I get in trouble without massive amounts of money. So yeah, I would get in trouble.
He's reached that level of brilliance, though, that he's become completely contented within himself and within his life. And the maturity that he's shown, the relaxation, how he's able to conduct himself. But he's now a 39-year-old man. He's twice the age of Naomi Osaka, almost. He's been through the ringer. He's started when he won his first Grand Slam in 1999, I think, or at least took part in his first one in 1999, 22 years ago.
Yeah, I won a medal once. I won a medal once playing Pop Warner football, which is 4th, 5th grade.
Nice.
Yeah, we went to the champion. I still have the medal somewhere around. It's not a big deal, but
I got loads of certificates.
I came out normal, kind of. Yeah. I'm not normal.
It's a county champion swimmer multiple times, multiple years in a row.
I should at least have a trophy for not drowning.
And I think I've got a 3rd place go-karting thing for when I went to race with my colleagues who are all in their 60s.
Oh, I was too poor to own a go-kart. That's pretty cool. Actually, I had a buddy that had a go-kart, had like, a little roll cage around it and everything. And we used
Yeah.
to drive around. In the area that I grew up in, there was the neighborhood. And behind my buddy's house, it was just desert. And there was a track kind of in there. And we would just go in the desert and do this little, it was just like a little circle, but there
Yeah.
was still cactus and bushes everywhere. I went into a bush a couple of times. I got stabbed by a tree
In the desert.
in the desert. Yeah, there's
That's
these really
impressive.
really thick bushes in there, and these branches come out. And I
They
kind of
jump out at you, do they? You're
They-
driving perfectly.
I was minding my own business. This motherfucker jumped out at me, stuck this sharp, like, hey, like, when someone points at you and like hits you, like, hey, motherfucker, that's what it did, except it was sharp and it got your boy right here.
First time I ever went, we went to this place and it was an indoor track and it was an enduro thing. And there was about 12 of us. And I don't know, I'm always quietly confident in my ability and everything. Arrogant is probably a better word, but I always feel like I'm going to be absolutely fantastic at everything I do. So I got in the go-kart and I was like, I'm going to be amazing. I'm going to be amazing at this. And then we qualified and I was second. And I was like, not bad. I should have got first though.
Yeah.
And
The sun, the sun wasn't right, just
yeah. The sun in the indoor track was just, but there was, he went tens and tens of times. He had his own helmet and everything. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
But first lap, we got round to the last corner and he pushed me into a wall, spun me around and shoved me into a wall. And then because it was an endurance race, it was basically whoever did the most laps. The rest of the time I was pushing like fuck because I thought, right, I'm a whole lap behind him now. I was pushing like crazy. And then I was about 5 minutes from the end, there was like a 3-car pile up in front of me on this corner and I just couldn't get round it. And because it's got no reverse gear, there's just no way round. I hadn't crashed, but I was just sat there and I'm such a competitive person. I was like, come on. And this lad just comes waltzing along, nice and steady, pulls one out, off you go.
Yeah.
Pulls another one out. Here you go. Just turn the wheel that way, push your foot. And I was like screaming. I was like, let me go. Turns out we both lost to someone completely different. Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
I
I remember
him by like 2 laps. I must have taken him without even knowing. But yeah, someone completely different beat me by about 20 seconds in the end. But I was stuck behind them for 4 or 5 minutes.
So I was on an
Not
indoor,
that long, probably 2 or 3 minutes.
it was like an indoor go-kart thing that I was in. And I saw someone who had spun out and they were sideways. And I was coming up to him and I was like, hey, let me give this guy a little assist. And I was going to bump the front and kind of,
Yeah.
But instead I haul ass and it's just like a roadblock.
You
Boom!
stopped dead.
Just remember my neck was hurting. And like the attendee comes up and he's like, why did you do that? I was like, I was trying to fix him. Can you help me? My neck hurts. He's like,
No, those things got some real grip and they're surprisingly heavy.
yeah.
They're actually really dense little things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was the last time I drove a go-kart, probably too.
I think I've been 4 times now. We went on a stag do back to the same place, but we went the day after we'd had the night out. So a couple of the people were driving around very, very sheepishly, trying not to puke in their helmets. But it was actually a really shit stag do for me because I was working nights at the time. So I'd worked until Friday until 6 a.m. My plan was to have about an hour or 2 sleep, get back up and try and force myself to get back to sleep on the Saturday night. The weekend plan was we were going to go paintballing, then we were going to go to the Six Nations rugby. We were going to see a rugby match. We were going to be in Cardiff, which where one of the stadiums is. I think we actually watched it in one of the. I don't think we could get tickets in the end. I think they were about £120 a piece or something, so we didn't go. But we watched it in Cardiff in one of these giant bars with all the screens around.
Yeah.
And then we were going out to the clubs afterwards. And the next day was off to go-karting. But I managed to sleep for a few hours on the Friday, didn't sleep at all on the Friday night through Saturday morning. And we had to leave at 9 because I was used to falling asleep at 7 in the morning because we had to leave at 9 on Saturday. So that was 24 hours then I hadn't slept already. Then we went paintballing and then we got to the night out and I'd been up for like 36 40 hours straight. Plus, we'd done the paintball, which is obviously quite energetic as it goes.
Oh yeah, we used to paintball a lot too.
And by the time it got to the night, I was just standing there with just like a drink in my hand, just like 9 or 10 o'clock. And I was like, "You're pissed." I was like, "I haven't fucking drunk anything. I just need to go to sleep." And I was trying my best, but luckily, the stag's brother got incredibly drunk to the point where they said, "You're going to have to take him back to the hotel." I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'll take him. Come on." But
Don't worry, guys. I got this.
It was a mistake because I ended up with puke on my hair. So it was a terrifying moment. I don't know if I should say really, but I'll say it anyway. Fuck it. Basically, he fell asleep in the passenger next to me in the seat. I was like, "Oh, thank God. That means he's probably not going to puke." But then I think the guy stopped at a traffic light and he went, "Are we there yet?" And I said no, and he just went, stuck his hand in front of his face, and it just went out sideways in my hair, up the bloody window, all over the seat. I was like, "Why didn't you do it on the floor? It costs you £40 if you puke on the floor and 70 if you puke everywhere else." All down himself. And then like the driver looks back. And I was just like, I didn't know what the fuck to say. No idea. He pulled over and said, "Right, well, I might as well take you back now because no one's going to pick you up like this. And he's already covered my seat in it."
Yeah.
So he drove us back to the hotel.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, "Yeah."
He could have just left you guys. You would have been fucked.
Could have done.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
That's what I would have done.
Yeah.
Like,
and
get your British ass out of my cab.
Threw a handful of cash at him.
Because I'm American, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And then we got back and I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep because I was having none of them had keys or anything. They were all out. And I was like, right, I've got to stay awake. So when I hear them knock on the door.
Yeah.
Then eventually they finally got home at like 2 a.m. or something.
Should have just propped the door open.
I still couldn't sleep because I was so used to falling asleep at 7 o'clock.
Yeah. You should have just propped the door open and put a sign on there like, "If you aren't my mate, don't come in." You know?
Yeah.
That would have done the trick.
Yeah, I would have been able to sleep real soundly then.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to paintball quite a bit in that same area that we used to go-kart. And one of those bushes that had stabbed me before, I saw a friend of mine. He was running. He was getting shot at. He was a big, stocky dude. And there was he was running straight, and there was like this wall of those bushes and a little trail that led off to the right. Or if you went to the left, there was just a brick wall. So he's being shot at, and I'm hidden, so they can't see me, but I see him running, and I assume that he's gonna, hang that right. Instead, he just jumps and goes straight into that bush. Demolished it. That bush was nothing. So now we had this trail that, from then on we could go straight because this bush didn't exist anymore. It was just like, poof. And yeah, those days were fun. And then we'd go back and drink afterward and, show our scars and, our welts. But me, this brown guy right here, I don't welt. I don't get bruises or anything. So everyone's showing their welts and their bruises. And I'm like, well, I know I got hit right here. And I got hit on my arm, but there's no marks.
I think because we went that time and we went with a friend who he's a proper, what we would call a meathead. I don't know if that's what you call him.
Yeah, gym rat.
No, he's not a gym rat. He's just
just stupid. Yes.
Stupid and thick, stupid and big.
Yeah, stupid and big. Yeah.
Thing is, he's not that stupid, but he is kind of stupid. And basically, he's been in like army cadets since he was 10 or 11 years old, and he used to be an instructor and stuff. So he really fancied himself as shit hot. And in fairness, he's pretty good, but he was doing all the kind of funny shit 'cause it was soaking wet. And they had this game where you had to get and touch the skull without being shot. Yeah. And then everyone who's touched the skull, they give you a point and then you back off. And he decided, the genius he is, decided he was going to steal the skull and bring it back to our side so we could all just touch it.
Like capture the flag.
So he ran straight into the middle and just dolphin dived, threw his arms in the air and just face planted into the mud so no one could shoot him, grabbed the skull and ran back and no one managed to shoot him.
Wow.
He did very well.
You pulled it off.
We laid cover and fire because me and the stag on the night were actually pretty good shots at range.
Yeah.
So we just sort of sat on the two marker posts next to it and we're picking people off every time they'd pop up to shoot him and get him kicked out. But then because our team was dominating so much, they took him and put him on the opposite team. So then as soon as he went to the next game, I was like, right, I'm going head to head with this bitch. And I shot him in the leg, in the arm, in the neck. Basically, you get shot once, you're supposed to go out.
Of course.
And I was sort of ducking and weaving and popping out and shooting him. I shot him at least 3 times. And I got, after we got out, got back to standing next to each other, whatever, when we finished. And I said, why didn't you go out? You didn't shoot me. And I was like, so what's that paint on your leg? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you did, yeah. What's that paint on your arm? Oh, yeah, you got me again there, yeah. It just must have been a glancing blow that I didn't feel. So, yeah, fuck off. And I said, look at me, immaculate. And then he shot me.
So the greatest shot I ever did was we put up little obstacles. We had fence pieces that we put up as barriers and stuff like that. So a buddy of mine his back was against the wall and he had a barrier in between him and he was just kind of stuck there. He was pinned down and I was the one that was holding him there. And he got up and started shooting a lot. So I just kind of ducked down and took my gun and just kind of went, pat. And I hear, son of a bitch. And I look up in the goggles. I got him in the goggles. He didn't want to play anymore. He was that type that was so competitive. He's one of those that, he has to win. And if he doesn't, there's always an excuse, oh, the sun wasn't right. Oh, my leg was hurting, something like that. That was fucking bullshit. The last 3 games he played, he was one of the first ones out. So he wasn't good. No. And he just couldn't deal with it. And he's like, no, I'm done. And he was done. He never played with us again after that.
See, I don't tend to make excuses. But if I'm not as good as I expect to be, and even if it's the first time I ever try something, I still expect to be good at it. But if I don't live up to my own expectations, I hate myself. I'm like, you useless. You can do better than this. You're so much better than this. What the fuck do you think you're doing? And I get really angry at myself. And that's why I'm so competitive.
You lost to these fuck ups. Look at them. They're all staring at you.
It's not even that. It's I have to perform. As long as I perform to what I think I can, if I lose, I lose. Someone's better than me, which most likely they are because they've probably done it before and they might just be way more talented than me. But I hate to be shit at things.
Yeah, so do I. It's not a good feeling.
No, it isn't. Because I play in a pool league as well. And like I said, I can win games and I'll come off and I'll be like, oh, I should have got that one right. I should have got that. They're like, what do you mean you won? Who cares? And I'm like, I care because I didn't perform. So I got to win properly. But no, scraping a win is sometimes feels shit.
I was never good at pool. And I would always justify it. Like I do a shot, like, one of the angle shots where you bank it off the side, try to get it in. It's like, bah, and they're like, you missed. That's an easy shot. I got a D in geometry. It's all good. Like,
I used to watch a game called snooker. I don't think you have it over there particularly.
No, never heard of it.
That's on a 12-foot table, and it is a turn-based one, but basically you score with breaks. So you've got a series of 15 red balls. And you've got loads of colours. So the 15 red balls sit in a triangle at the bottom of the table, and the colours are strategically placed up the table in like a big long T shape.
Yeah.
And then you've got to go red colour, red colour, red colour until all the reds are gone. And then there's a certain order that you pop the colours. And there's like a maximum break size. Each one's worth a point. So red's worth 1, and then you got colours points worth 2 through 7. So that's how you build up a score. And you try and build up scores high enough that the other person mathematically can't come back at you. But if you miss, you give away points to the other person. So they can also play shots.
Oh, okay.
Play shots to like what you call snookering someone. So they can't hit their ball. And then if they miss it, then you've got some points back. So it's a very interesting game. But I was really, really into it when I was a kid. I used to just sit and watch it all the time. Whenever it was on, I would sit and watch the entire thing. So when it comes to start playing pool, I'd already watched all these guys who are the best snooker players in the world teach you about stands, teach you about all your cue action. So as soon as I started, I already knew all the stuff before I started actually trying it out. So I think I got quite good pretty quick. But
yeah.
Again, that was just for years and years of being a little dork. So
hey, sometimes it pays off, man.
Sometimes it pays to be a dork.
Sometimes it pays off.
And I have won money at pool, so
I have lost money at pool. I get drunk and I get that liquid courage, that confidence, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? I will beat your ass. And I break and I miss the ball.
The thing is, we play in a league, and then if you win your game in the league, they buy you a pint, and if you lose, you buy them a pint. So
Oh,
there's
okay.
a big incentive to win.
Yeah, we used to do that every Sunday. Me, my cousins, my brothers, all that. We used to go bowling.
Yeah,
So we used to go to this bowling alley,
I like
and
bowling.
yeah,
I
we were
wish I'd play
there.
it more.
We were there every single Sunday, and loser would have to pay for the game.
Yeah,
And then afterward, we go drink, and we got so chummy with the bartender that she had a competition for us every time we went there. She would serve. There was four of us that would do these Jaeger bombs, the Jaeger and Red
yeah,
Bull, and the first person who chugged it got theirs for free. So we would do that, and it was pretty fun. We did that for every Sunday for a good 4 months, and then people started dropping out, and it just wasn't
yeah.
that fun anymore. So
You can do things too often; it becomes an obligation.
yeah,
I say I don't even want to play in the pool league anymore. It doesn't really interest me that much because nothing changes. It's just the same thing every year. There's no
yeah,
there's no different prize, or there's no it's mostly the same people that have been playing in it for the last 30 years. So it doesn't really interest me. And I'm also not a big drinker anymore, so that makes a
yeah. I mean,
difference.
you know what? I'm not that much of a drinker either.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just I drink pure vodka mostly now, but
Vodka, as the Russians would say.
no water as the
As the Russians would say.
yeah. Yeah. Did you know that beer in Russia was only declared an alcoholic beverage like 4 years ago? It was considered a soft drink.
No shit. God, I love
Yeah.
Russia, man.
Those guys are the best.
They are. I need to go. I'd be like, hello, Russia? Is this Russia? I need to go to you.
Da.
Da. Das
I am the
Podanie?
machine.
I am the machine. Yeah, I think we touched on this the last episode, but they're making a movie. He's up there making a movie right
Yeah,
now
you
about
did,
that
yeah.
experience. Yeah, that's pretty amazing, man. Good for him.
Doesn't surprise me at all. It's one of those things like it's such a standout bit, but it's probably going to be terrible.
And I think I was going through how Facebook has those memories, you posted this on this day, whatever. I think I actually today posted the first time I heard that story, and it was like 4 years ago or something, 4 or 5 years ago.
I think I can't remember when it came out, but I think I heard it long ago than that.
Oh, I guess I'm just behind then.
Trying to remember now, but yeah, I think it was way longer ago that I heard that. 6, 7 years. I could be wrong because I'm not even sure when it came out, but
Let's ask him. I have his number. Let's call him up.
it was long before I ever got Netflix anyway that I heard it.
Yeah, that's when you were. Remember when Netflix was DVDs? They would mail you DVDs.
Yeah.
I
Well, we
remember
used to have Amazon.
No, I never.
I think we had Amazon ones then. Oh no, we had Love Film. It was called Love Film.
No,
And I think they were the ones that were bought by Amazon Net and turned into Amazon.
Okay.
And that was before Netflix. I'm fairly sure.
Yeah, we used to do that, and I remember my dad would get one season of Friends.
Oh yeah.
And then we would watch, and then he finally bought like the entire box set. Jesus, I've seen that show so many times. They just had that reunion episode. Did you watch that?
I haven't watched it yet. I'm nervous to watch it.
Don't have high expectations.
I have very low expectations in fairness, because I know it's not an episode, and I just feel like it's really going to bug me, because there's a lot of the times that, again, this comes back to the celebrity pedestal thing. I don't really care about the actors' lives. I don't really care if there was a load of, because I know that Matthew Perry was, I don't know if it was drugs or it was just alcohol.
Drugs. It was drugs.
Substance abuse.
Yeah.
During the show. I know that. And it was like, but if I have to hear about all the stuff that went on behind the scenes and could have ruined it and shit like that, it was like, does that just tarnish the show for me? Because it's got nothing to do with the show.
Yeah.
But once you find that stuff out, it could bother you. You could be watching one of those episodes thinking, "Oh, this is when this was going on in their personal lives."
Yeah. No, this is it was kind of funny. They did table reads of some of the episodes, just reacting them out on the table read.
Yeah.
Like the couch, the pivot, like that scene. And there was a couple where they're sitting around the table with their scripts, reading it out, and it was pretty funny. What I didn't care for is they had all these other celebrities there talking about it.
I saw that the guest show sit, and it was like talking about how much they like Friends.
Yeah, and how much it impacted them. I was like, I don't give a damn about you. Like, just
I like Friends. I don't like you.
yeah, exactly. And I was disappointed because Paul Rudd didn't make an appearance on there.
Oh, I like Paul Rudd.
So most of the guest stars that were on there made some type of appearance on there, but there was no Paul Rudd. Spoiler alert! Sorry, people. Sorry, all 10 of you.
Me 6 times.
Me the other 4.
All of our fans. Paul Rudd's great because he seems like a really great guy.
Yeah, he's fucking hilarious.
And
it's like he's not trying to be funny.
No, the people who were getting vaccinated, he was standing outside handing them out cookies, wasn't he? A couple of months ago.
I didn't see that.
No, he seems like a genuinely really good dude, in fairness.
Did you see that PSA he made about getting vaccinated?
I didn't watch it, no.
So this was like last year, like late last year.
Yeah.
He's dressed with like a sideways hat and like these baggy shorts, and he's like, "Hey, I'm a youth just like you. I just want you to know that it's cool to get vaccinated." He has like a skateboard in his hand and shit.
Yeah. No, he seemed like he was big. He was really behind that, which is good.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people you're going to change though. That's the problem.
You don't really.
This anti-vax movement has really got its, and it was done as a joke. That's the thing that pisses you off, isn't it? Someone made that shit up, and it's just escalated.
Pretty sure that's how most things started.
I know, yeah.
I'm still trying to see if how I said Canada's not real from one of our previous episodes.
And
I wonder
Finland isn't either.
I wonder if that has legs yet. Am I going to be plastered all over social media and the news?
Yeah.
As the leader, I can't be your leader. I don't know how to make electric Kool-Aid. We're not going to drink that shit. I don't want to die yet.
The thing that you got to remember is the leader of these people are never very good anyway. So you haven't got to worry about whether you're not very good at it. You've not got to come up with any coherent arguments or anything. Because
I will be horrible at it.
You don't have to come up with any rational part. Just scare. Canada's not real. It's a pixie land. I don't know, whatever. Just make up any shit and you don't have to rationalize it. Canada's
not real, and neither is maple syrup or Canucks. What the fuck is a Canuck?
I thought it was the Denver Canucks, no?
No, it's Canada.
Canada Canucks.
Well,
Canada Geese?
Canada Goose. Don't get me started on Canada Goose.
Don't mess with the Canada Goose.
You better clean that glass up because Canada Gooses would clean that up for you. That's the Letterkenny reference for all you people. Yeah. Yeah, that show is great. You know what? If there is a Canada I rephrase it. There is a Canada just because of Letterkenny.
That was the only proof you needed.
That's the only proof I needed.
Yeah. But Canada can be a state of mind. Canada's not a geographical place. It's a place within your mind.
Oh, like your happy place.
Yeah. It's like, aren't we all a bit Gina Linetti? Like, isn't Gina Linetti a state of mind?
Gina Linetti.
Like we were all kind of Gina Linetti today.
I guess we are until she's too good for. Didn't she leave that show for a little while?
Yeah, she did. She went off to do a separate show called Chelsea Peretti.
She married some rich guy too, and like her head got bigger than it already was. And
you mean external to the show or in it?
Both.
In the show, I think she married Boyle's cousin, didn't she?
I think she did. What was his name?
It was the surfboard.
I can't remember.
teacher.
He had a woman's name too, right?
Milton. No, it was
Oh,
Milton.
it was Milton. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not that. I don't. You know what? I actually don't think I've seen the very last or the last couple of
It's
seasons. I keep starting
it's
from the
probably in
beginning.
like the sixth one, I guess. It's when she's pregnant.
Mm.
But then she comes back in it a bit later. I don't know. Maybe she was actually pregnant. Maybe she went off and had a kid. I don't know. But I know she did the show Chelsea Peretti for a while.
Yeah, this is Brooklyn Nine-Nine people that we're
Mm.
talking about. Yeah, I really liked her in the show. Like she
Yeah,
was just so fucking annoying at times, but
I know. But that was what it's
yeah,
supposed to be.
yeah. But she was great at it.
Speaking of shows like that, because I'm quite a big fan of The Big Bang Theory. At least in the early days, I was anyway.
I mean, not so
I
much.
went off it in the last few seasons, but it was interesting the way the character development they had for some of those characters, and like, a few of them were just complete horseshit.
I
That's what
wouldn't
really
know.
lost the
Yeah.
show on me. There's this sort of like cute innocent girl called Bernadette,
I know
and
about her. She dated a couple of them, didn't she? A couple of the the smart guys, the nerds, or one, two
you know,
maybe.
she married one of them in the show, obviously. But yeah, her character development.
Which goes to show nerds can still pull ass. Continue.
Yeah, well, Kaylee Kuko,
Cuckoo,
Kuko, Kuko,
cuckoo,
Kuko, yeah,
cuckoo.
Kaylee. Anyway, she
No, we have to refer to her as Kaylee. Cuckoo. Yeah.
Kaylee Kuku.
Yeah.
Okay, Kaylee Kuku actually did date the guy who played Leonard, I think, which I think probably made it awkward when they broke up.
The glasses guy. I just know
Yeah,
like the Jufro guy, maybe. No, not Jufro.
no, Jufro's the one who married Bernadette.
Okay, I don't know who Bernadette is. Oh wait, I do.
She's the little cute one who I don't like the character development for.
Okay.
But yeah, basically, she started off this sweet, sort of kind girl who was like really nice to everyone. And they made loads of references back to how she was always nice and she always liked people and stuff. And then later, her character development became really mean. She became a really mean, horrible little person who was quite. Yeah, she took no shit and she wasn't afraid to sort of, I don't know, use any. She used sexual harassment sort of to threaten her bosses and stuff and be like, ha
Okay.
ha ha, I'm so good.
I'm untouchable.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like super like that, but yeah, they just changed the character profile completely to make out that she was always like a mean little person. She had lots of little brothers and she was really competitive
Yeah.
because she had older brothers and stuff. And I don't know, I hated the way they did that because it wasn't organic. A lot of and the main character, Sheldon, I mean, he started off, he was obviously on the spectrum. He was obviously some level of autistic, and yet they let him develop to be more empathetic. Whereas that's really actually quite wrong to tell people that that's how it works.
Well, that
Because
happened because he was never vaccinated.
Someone who's autistic can't develop empathy. It's something they lack.
Well, they can if you don't vaccinate them. That's why the anti-vaxxers are doing what they're doing. You can
Yeah, but
start.
then they don't get
grow.
autism if you don't vaccinate them.
No, well,
Once
sometimes
they've got the autism.
They got autism because the parents were vaccinated.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes, Nick.
I thought
what were we doing this entire time?
I thought it was don't vaccinate your kids because you'll give them autism.
No, it's don't vaccinate yourself because you'll give your kids autism, and then when you vaccinate your kids, the autistic, traits stay.
I thought when you vaccinated yourself, you became infertile.
I don't know. I vaccinated and I was able to breed.
Infertile if you were vaccinated, and then if you vaccinate your kids, they will get autism.
No, see,
and
my parents were vaccinated. They're not infertile. I'm vaccinated. I'm not autistic. I'm just a little weird. And I've made a couple of kids. Hey, yo.
But the thing is, in this anti-vax...
Continue.
in this anti-vax sort of thing, they seem to be acting as though autism is like worse than death.
Oh yeah,
The attitude they've got towards it, you'll give them autism. And it's
yeah.
like, yeah, but is that worse?
They can lead
that-
completely normal lives. I have a
Elon
niece.
Musk is
So
autistic, and he's the richest man on the planet.
I have a niece who's autistic. She's one of the coolest little babies I know.
I think if you actually, a lot of older people just simply wouldn't have been diagnosed as autistic. It just wasn't known about or wasn't understood.
Yeah.
And I think you
wasn't
probably,
awareness raised on it.
yeah, I think you'd probably be surprised. We probably know loads of people who would be considered autistic because it's a spectrum as well. You land on a spectrum.
Yeah.
But they'd be past that level. I bet there'd be a lot of people that you knew that were.
Probably.
And yeah, it's just one of those things, isn't it? There's benefits to it, and then there's obviously drawbacks to it. But
yeah, I'd like to know
different.
because I know I have ADHD, and sometimes I can be staring at you while you're speaking to me and not remember a word that you told me because I'm thinking about soup.
That's probably just speaking to me as well, in fairness. I'm sure all of our viewers are doing exactly the same thing.
All three of you.
Fast forward.
Just keep going.
He'll stop talking in a minute. He's gone off on one. No, I've got a very, very overactive mind. As I'm thinking about 10 different things at once.
Exactly. That's why I can't sleep at night.
There's just always something going on. It's just like, shut up.
Yeah. And then there's like these very rare times where I just space out and I'm like staring at a doorknob or something. And it's just.
I used to have that. I still remember I was at work once. I was sitting on I was building an electrics panel, and I hadn't noticed anything. And then the guy sat next to me eventually just sort of said, "Where have you gone?" And I was like, "Sorry, what?" And he said, "You sat there and not moved in the last half hour. You've not moved a muscle."
Just like, so he was staring at you for a half hour. He's like, "Where?" Well, he's like, "Where do you go, Nick?"
He's not doing anything.
Just,
I think he'd sort of looked over and go, "Oh, he's not moving." And then like after like half hour's time, he's like, "He's still not moving.
Still not moving."
What the fuck has happened there?
Have you ever spaced out and you were staring at someone and you didn't know it?
Yeah, that was basically what it was. Is I just completely zoned out. I was in a whole world of my own. I have no idea what the fuck it was about. I didn't even notice. I never used to notice. I would just go.
So they did this study where they hooked up men and women to these, I don't even know what it was. I guess kind of like an MRI or something. So where they can see like brain waves and brain activity and all that shit. So
MRIs.
Yeah. So they tell them, think about nothing. Just sit there and think about nothing.
Yeah.
And all the men's brains, they just like completely went dark. Maybe one or two little sparks here and there. And that was it of all these people. And the women's were just fucking lit up and going everywhere. And they're just like, so see, when men tell you that they spaced out and they weren't thinking about anything, they're not thinking about anything. Because I used to have an ex-girlfriend that she used to piss me. So I guess at that time, it happened to me a lot. Like I'd just be sitting there staring at nothing or like the TV. And she would notice that I'm just not there. And she'd be like, so what's on your mind? And I'm like, nothing. And she's like, no, why do you do that? Why can't you just tell me what's on your mind? I'm like, nothing, like literally nothing is on my mind. Like, how do you not understand this? It's just, they're wired different. And
it's interesting because now I don't space out anymore. I'm super sensitive to absolutely everything that's going on around me. Just overly sensitive. Like I could never ever sleep in a public place anymore. And like if I go somewhere different to sleep, I can't do it.
I can't do that anyway. I've never been able to.
The tiniest little thing will snap me out.
Yeah.
And I'll just be like, that's it. Like I'll be starting to fall asleep and I'll hear this tiny noise and that's it. I'm immediately wide awake.
Do you twitch?
There's nothing I can do. It just happens. It's like as soon as it's pushed me out of that. So I can almost make myself. I've worked out now how to make myself go into that phase where my mind starts to settle down. But then as soon as there's the tiniest noise it takes me about 10 minutes to actually work that way down to sleep. But as soon as something distracts me, that's it. I'm back and I'm wide awake. Then it's like
Exactly.
I can't start again even.
So when I was in class, sometimes it's been like this my whole life. I get like 4 hours of sleep a night if I'm lucky. So I was in class once, and I guess it was just a bad week for me. And I was actually falling asleep at my desk. And do you ever get that when it always happens to me when I'm extremely tired, when I'm about to doze off, like when I'm at that point where I'm just between sleep and just losing consciousness, and then you fucking twitch like, oh, like,
Yeah.
So that happened to me, and I slammed my elbow down on the desk and it fucking hurt like crazy. Another story. I was in class. It was seventh grade. So I'm in class. I kind of have my head down and I'm writing, and I start dozing off. And I rip one of the loudest farts I have ever ripped in my entire life. And this class was dead silent. It was dead silent. And it was just like, and I look, the entire class is looking at me, and I'm like, fuck. I just put my hand down. Oh, I bet I was so red. And I
There's
remember
always those moments. I still remember this.
Yeah, and then I get up and I'm walking out. My buddy comes up to me and he's like, "Well, that was a oopsie." And I was like, "Shut up."
We were in a school assembly once, and we used to sit on a gym floor. And of course, the reverberations that go through those kinds of floors. And this one kid let out this fart. And I tell you what, everyone in the entire hall felt it. It wasn't just that loud. It was just like the floor moved and everyone was like, what the fuck? The embarrassment on that kid's face.
Oh, yeah. Man. Yeah, this
I used to burp like Jesus. I could rattle a door when I burped, and I did that once in a classroom. I think I got detention for like 3 weeks. But I just don't even notice it. I just burp on impulse. I don't even factor in the fact that burping's rude anymore.
Yeah.
It's like burping's burping. It just happens.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't even know there's, I've had those times. What's funny though is when have you ever hiccup and burp at the same time?
Yeah.
You just kind of like, you kind of sound like a donkey.
It really hurts.
It happens a lot to me, like in public,
If I get the hiccups, then I will start drawing in air and then burping as well. It'll be it's fucking nightmare.
My hiccups are violent. They fucking hurt.
Yeah.
I hate when I get it.
If I have real spicy food, then that's
the
most painful hour. That hour is just.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because that's never happened to me before. Only recently, when I eat something extremely like hot, spicy, I know it's hot because I'll get the hiccups right away. And I'm like, fuck. And it's these painful, hot fucking hiccups. You can't.
You got to try and wait for them to pass before you can start eating again.
And they don't go away. Worse. Yeah, they don't go away. Like there was a trick that I tell people that works. It's worked for me more times than it hasn't. So a buddy of mine told me one time I had the hiccups and I was pissed and they were killing me. I get this sharp pain in my chest. And he's like, dude, picture a cow in a pasture eating grass. And I'm like, that's the stupidest shit I ever heard. He's like, just do it. And I'm like, whatever, Mike. That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my entire life. That's not going to fucking work. But hiccups were gone.
Yeah.
I've told 3 or 4 separate people that were complaining that they couldn't get rid of their hiccups. All right, picture a cow on a pasture eating grass. Just picture that. And same thing. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why do I need? Hey, your hiccups gone? Like, oh, they're gone. Like, so you just need like something insignificant just to distract your brain, or I don't know what it is.
Hiccups are, I believe the clinical term is a diaphragmatical irritation.
Yeah.
I'm sure I heard a comedian who was a former doctor, I think, saying that. And once I found that out, I was like, okay, right. So.
And John. I don't know. He's the only comedian I know that used to be a doctor.
No, Dara O'Brien. He's an Irish guy. And so I was like, once I learned that, I was like, right, okay, so if it's a diaphragm thing, then I should be able to control it with my breathing. So now what I do is I take really, really slow, long inhales and exhales. And usually I don't exhale to all the way out. I go to sort of almost all, and then I start breathing in again slower. And that usually gets rid of hiccups within about a minute.
Just picture the cow, man. Works right away. Picture the fucking cow.
Work for me.
How do you know if you never tried?
I'll try next time.
You've never tried. You've never tried. How do you know?
You've tried using that argument on me for multiple other things. I'm not falling for it again.
All
Last time I
right.
wasn't walking straight for a week.
I was drunk and
How do you know if you haven't tried it?
how do you know you're not? Huh? Huh? Hey, try it.
Just the tip.
Just a
Just the
oh,
tip.
I have a running joke with a friend of mine on that, and it was her response. It's never just a tip.
We're so true to our word. You should just trust us when we say things like that.
Exactly. It's the shit people do. Yeah.
About brains and stuff. I think my mum told me this fairly recently. I'm sure she was saying
Brains and stuff.
about how some people think in words and some people think in images. And apparently, usually, most people don't know the other one exists. Like, so I definitely
Yeah, because that's all
think
you
in
know.
words. Exactly, it's what you're used to. I definitely think in words, but she sit there and she's not really thinking anything because she's not thinking in words. It's like the language she doesn't think in.
Yeah.
So I've got 6 different conversations from 12 years ago going on in the back of my mind. And I'm thinking about everything that's going on, listening to the TV, hearing shit going on outside. And she's just there like, it's just oblivious. I think that's probably one of the differences between
Wagon
people who say
wheel.
now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely think in words because I just hear conversations.
Yeah. I go over conversations that I've gone over 600 times
You think people who are good at
many years ago.
like wordplay and puns, you think if they thought in pictures, if that would be like impossible for them?
I suspect so. I reckon your ability to have a conversation would diminish if you thought in pictures, because I don't think you'd be able to. I think your comprehension would probably slow down in some ways.
Yeah, I think it'd be a lot harder because I've
It's
been
not to
told
say
that
that you
I'm fast.
wouldn't be. You could
No,
be far more
Nick. No,
intelligent.
no, Nick. They're
but
inferior people to us.
It's. But yeah, you're just not as good at us.
Yeah, I mean, and you won't be, but that that's okay. You might be better at other things. You could probably paint off the top of your head because me,
Yeah.
I could draw. I can draw shit, but I have to have a picture for
Yeah.
reference right there. I
So
can't
do
I
yeah.
can't ever draw shit off the top of my head. And that's
No.
where they excel probably, you know?
It's probably something to do with the difference between people who are creative and people who are like academic. It could be that difference.
Yeah.
It could be the way that people think.
And that's the thing too. Like I was always an academic, I was gonna say. I think I had a little
No,
too
you
much of
weren't.
this. Academic. I did well in school. I actually enjoyed it, but I'm also creative. I'm a creative writer. I've always had
Yeah.
trouble. I've always been into music. I love it. I could never write a song. To save my
I'm
life, I cannot do it.
What I've always said is I can play an instrument, but I'm not a musician. Because there's that difference of people. There's a different class of people who are clearly musicians.
Yeah.
They can hear the music, they can understand the music. Whereas me, I just put my fingers where I'm supposed to put my fingers, and that's how I got a girlfriend.
And that's
as well.
how women like it. Yes. Well, see, I've always been told I wasn't a musician because I was a drummer.
Strumming their instrument. No, drummers have to have immaculate timing.
Now, see, they say, what do you call a washing machine with a bunch of shoes in it, or a dryer with a bunch of shoes in it? A drummer. Yeah. What do you call 4 musicians? Or it was something like, what do you call 4 people and a drummer? Or what are the 4 people called? It was something to that. Like the joke was stupid, but basically they're musicians. I wasn't.
Yeah. See,
and I don't consider myself like this awesome musician. You know, we played music and I was never a solo drummer. I did what was best for the song because I always called myself mediocre. But
yeah, the thing about being a drummer is you're not going to be the guy that writes the songs, and you're not going to be, but you're the guy you're the tempo.
Yeah.
You know, you're the metronome at the back of the group. Without you, the band is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think, well, your drummer is crucial to be really a good quality drummer can carry the rest of a band.
Exactly. Oh, little FYI, the intro music to our podcast is the last band I used to be in. Those are my drums, people. Shout out to Nephi.
Woo. Shout out to me.
Now we need to have a John Appreciation Day, a Yankee Appreciation Day, just to me. That's going to be the next
And it should
episode.
be every day.
Every day. So what I need is for you to all tell me how great I am and how much you love and adore me. Send me gifts, nudes, men or women, I don't care.
I so I learned how to. I can never read music, and I've never really like. When I used to listen to music, I'd hear what was right and what was wrong. I couldn't tell you why. I couldn't tell you how. I couldn't tell you what chord it was. I could just tell you that doesn't sound right or that sounds right. That's all I could tell you.
See, in high school, I was in jazz band. That's right, ladies.
Oof.
Jazz band. If you want my number, DM me. And one of the requirements was you need to be able to read music. So we had to not audition, but we had to sit down and kind of have like an interview with the music teacher.
Yeah.
The first question she asked, can you read music? I was like, sure. I could not. I didn't, not even a little bit. So we get in for the first class. We all sit down. They get out the sheet music. We're doing some sight reading, some sight music. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, fuck. And then she's like, 1, 2, 3, go. And everyone's playing. And I remember it vividly. The song was called Ain't Misbehaving. And they're playing, everyone else is killing it. And I'm just sitting there and she's like, what's going on, John? I'm like, oh, I just need a couple of minutes. And I'm like thinking to myself, how long can I drag this out before?
Before I have to admit it.
Yeah. And then she already knows. She told one, like, hey, can you go up there and help him? And he comes up and he's like, dude, can you read? And I was like, I can read words. He's like, all right, this is what. So lucky for me, percussion music is some of the easy. It's the easiest shit ever. So he told me, this is what this means. This is what this means. And I was like, that's it. And he's like, yeah, I got this. And then we were able to go. And I think that year was the first year that our jazz band actually went out and performed at other schools. And they used to be catered. I used to love that shit. And then now I am immortalized. Exactly. And now I'm immortalized on the wall of Sunnyside High School in Tucson, Blue Devils. Got the Louis Armstrong Award. I'm pretty sure it was because I was the only senior that year, but good for me.
Still got it. See, I mean, because I learned guitar, then you could have guitar tabs, which was so much easier to read.
Tabs, yeah, I remember.
Just tell you the fret on the string, and you just play that. So much better.
Exactly. I remember.
So I never bothered.
The first couple of bands I was in, we would do some covers, and they would, print out the guitar tabs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way better. But it goes to the film that I really enjoy, Whiplash. That's a very musical thing, and he's a drummer, so you might really like that. But
I need to look that. I need to see if it's the one that I'm thinking of.
Definitely recommend it.
It's just called Whiplash.
Yeah.
2014.
Yeah. Miles Teller is the actor, and someone Simmons is the teacher in it.
Yeah, it is that one. Okay, yep, it's the one I'm thinking of.
I don't think it's on any streaming platforms anymore, which is kind of annoying, but it was on Netflix for a while.
Oh, it's I just like the drum line, Nick Cannon. So I remember when that movie came out, the whole band for the high school, they all went out as a group and went and watched the drum line, and I'm like, you guys are fucking nerds. As I walked to jazz band class,
I've never seen that, to be fair.
They make the drum line cool again.
Ooh,
that's right.
Is that like one of these like step up things or something?
Yes,
that kind of thing.
Yes, so horrible.
Nope.
I know, that's what I said. They're like, oh, this movie, it's about dancers, but it's about their lives. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. You know what I like? I like breakdancing competitions.
I can actually breakdance.
No shit.
Yeah.
I got a buddy who's traveled to Korea.
Yeah, I've never not properly. I mean, I can break dance in terms of put me on the dance floor and I will spin around and do the worm and shit. But
see, I can't. I might be able to do the robot.
Yeah, I actually think I would have been a really good dancer if I'd have gone for it. But
not me. I am not. Well, not like breakdancing. I'm not flexible. Not even a little bit.
Until very recently, I could still get my feet behind my head.
Oh, you're
And not because I ever tried, not because it was something I like stretched to do. I could just do it.
seems like information I should have known.
That's something for later. Woohoo! That's right, ladies. If you want to, oh no, if you want to peg me,
It's called pegging. Yeah.
you want to peg me, I can put my feet behind my head.
I used
No,
to have
I can't anymore. But
I used to have a buddy that did that.
We used to play this game with my friends where you get a cereal box, and basically you'd have to only your feet were allowed to touch the floor, nothing else. But you'd have to bend down and pick it up with your mouth.
Okay.
And then like everyone would go around and do it, and then you cut a section off of it, and you just cut it down and down and down until it was like that high, and it was just on the floor.
So it's like bobbing for cereal box, pretty much.
Basically, yeah. But I was always at quite a severe disadvantage because I got very, very long legs.
I am all legs,
compared to my torso.
dude. I am all legs.
Yeah, I'm about 4'5" of legs, and then the rest of me is just in that.
I have to find a picture.
Section,
maybe in post I'll put a picture. It's a picture of me playing baseball when I was young, and my legs are like 3/4 of my fucking body, and I'm wearing the baseball, the baseball pants. And
yeah,
I think I know where it is. I think I'll try to add that.
I was always more flexible than most of my friends by quite a way, but I just had that real hindrance of effectively I had to go down a lot further than they did. Because if I leant forward, then my face would still only like reach my knees.
Yeah.
Whereas, but my ex-girlfriend could do it from, she could do it with like a piece of paper. She could get down that low. She could touch her face to the floor, basically. But she did it in a real weird technique where like her knees went all over the place, and I don't know, it was real freaky. But
sounds oddly arousing.
Well, she did it in a completely different way. Like I'd sort of almost do the splits and then bob forward. Whereas like, no, she like kneeled down as if she was almost about to sit down, but just on her feet. And then she'd like twist her knees to the one side, and then she could just duck right down to the floor. But yeah, very peculiar. I don't normally go to bed at 10, but I should do.
You go later?
I don't know. I quite often go to bed at 10 o'clock, but then I sit and watch TV for like an hour.
Yeah, that's why I lay down at 7.
Yeah.
And if I can fall asleep at 7, that would be ideal. But then I lay there till like 8:30, just kind of tossing and turning, and then my fucking phone will go off.
I usually watch one episode of something, and then I turn the volume right down, and then I could fall asleep with just that tiny little scratchy background noise. There's like a white noise.
Yeah, just something to distract you.
Yeah, just something I could sort of it just occupies a bit of that back of the mind. But it has to be something that I've seen loads of times, so I don't get intrigued by it.
Exactly. I've made that mistake so many times where I'm like, oh, I haven't seen this episode in a while, and I'll just put it on and lay there, and then I hear and I'm like, what happened?
What was the visual part of that? Yeah. No, so that's why I always let myself watch one episode first, because that way I can work my way through shows to the point where I've seen them so many times that I don't have to do it anymore. So I'm at that point at the moment with Disenchantment, Archer. I probably can't do it with Friends anymore because
I wouldn't be able to fall asleep with Archer.
Watched Friends through. And I used to do it with Family Guy as well. First 10 seasons.
Family Guy, American Dad, Scrubs.
Yeah. But that's the thing, like my memory, I've memorized all these things like word for word. So like all of Friends, I used to be able to do every single episode word for word. I could sit there and I could just do them like word for word as the episode was going along.
Yeah.
Every single one of it. And I could like quote entire episodes pretty much just off the top of my head. But it was because that's when you're at your most responsive.
Yeah.
Is when you're falling asleep. And because I'd spend like almost an hour trying to get to sleep and it was going off in the background, it would just keep registering and it would just keep ticking over to the point where I could it was all there. But it was the only way I could ever get to sleep. So
yeah, that's how I was. And then that's where I fucked up, is because I haven't watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine in so long. And I started putting it on, and I'm just find myself laughing and looking. I'm like, this is the wrong show to put on, but I'm not going to change it.
Yeah, that's why I turn it down so low as well. So it's almost, you don't quite hear the words, but you can hear the noise.
Yeah.
That's the technique I've found now.
I used to put on a podcast. I started putting on the Joe Rogan podcast because they're like 3 fucking hours.
Yeah.
And there was no I wasn't worried that I was gonna lay there until it was over and then I'd have to get up and find another episode,
Yeah.
because I still haven't fallen asleep.
But I just get too intrigued by that. Formula One used to be good. The noise of the cars, like the that was great. I could fall asleep to that really easily. But
Yeah, I remember I used to have the DVDs of Scrubs, and I remember my brother hated it so much because me and him used to have to share a room, and
Yeah.
I needed noise to fall asleep, and he didn't. This guy's a fucking dummy. His brain just turns off and he's
Yeah.
gone. Well, we would always wake up in the middle of the night or something, and it'd be the fucking the main DVD screen that I can't do this all
Yeah.
on my, and it just kind of loops and loops, and he's like,
yeah.
I hate that song so much. Literally hear it in your fucking dreams.
Mm. Yeah, because the one that used to wake me up is because it was VHS tapes, and it would stop and then rewind when you got all the way to the end, and that was always bad because that would wake me up. Then I had to sort of fall asleep early enough in the video that I was deep enough asleep that when it rewound, it wouldn't wake me up again. So if it got to like the last episode, I'd usually just watch the episode and then stick the next VHS in because it was the only way it worked.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go back to edibles. I wanted to stay away from them because I know it's legal here.
Yeah,
but I don't want any issues if I want another job and they're like, well, you pissed dirty for THC.
Yeah.
Then like I don't know how that works and I don't want to fucking deal with it. I think that's just my biggest concern. CBD. See, the ones I had, they were, I think I told you, a 5-to-1 ratio. So it was like 5 CBD to 1 THC.
Yeah.
And they weren't great at making me fall asleep because there were still nights where I couldn't sleep. But when I was asleep, I would sleep hard. So I'd still get like 4 or 5 hours, but I would wake up feeling a lot more rested.
Yeah. Because the CBD is the anti-anxiety part of it, the anti-pain part of it. The THC is just the psychoactive part.
Yeah.
But I definitely find that if I try and do it just before I want to go to sleep, it doesn't help. But if I do it like an hour and a half before, then usually I can sleep really well.
Yeah. And there was one night where it wasn't working. So like right before I fell asleep, I took another little piece and I knew like, John, don't do it. Don't do it. And I took it. The next day I was fucking zombie. I was just like, I used to try to like slam a beer, but there's sugar in beer.
Yeah.
So that would just keep me up.
Well, to be fair, that's one of the things that's quite handy about wine. Because it's not a huge amount of liquid, but it's sort of strong enough that you can get a tiny bit tipsy with like one good full glass.
Yeah, wine gets me good.
Sleep.
Yeah, well, it doesn't take a lot for wine to get me.
Yeah, so I'll have effectively a quarter of a bottle in a glass, and that's what I used to do. A part of what I used to do when I was on nights, I'd sometimes come home and just have one glass of wine, and that would usually help quite a lot within 20 minutes or so.
Fancy.
Yeah. It wasn't. It was the cheapest shit you could buy.
Still wine. It's still wine.
Yeah. But the problem is that I always don't drink anything like an hour and a half, 2 hours before I go to bed.
Yeah.
Because I hate waking up needing to pee. Fuck, it pisses me off so much.
This morning, man, I woke up and I was like, I have to pee, but it's not that bad. So I'm just going to wait a little bit. And I was sitting there and I was bored and I didn't know what to do. I had my Oculus. So I got the Oculus and I started playing this shooting game I have. And after about 15, 20 minutes, I get this sharp pain in my bladder. And I'm like, oh my God. And just to get off the bed and like, I was like hunched over walking to the bed. I was like, oh my God.
once you reach that point, though, it's really hard to actually pee.
It is,
I
yeah, and
find.
it just goes like, psh, psh,
Yeah,
and it just kind of trickles down. Like it's not a
I
strong stream.
my strange thing is when I do get high, I forget how to pee. It sounds really odd, but it's honestly true. I start to think I need a wee almost as soon as it hits me, but I never quite know when I do or don't. And then so I'll go and try and pee, and I can stand there for 10 or 15 minutes trying to pee, and I can't do it. And it's
I don't
just like,
think
oh,
I've ever.
fuck, I need to pee, but I can't. It won't come out. It just won't release.
No, that's never happened
Fuck,
to
it's
me. It
horrible.
just you're just in so much pain and it just comes out so slow.
Yeah.
So there's like no relief for like
But then I
15
get really, really
seconds.
bad cotton mouth as well. So I need to drink.
Just can't win.
No,
Just no
just
winning.
gonna have to quit drugs.
Said no one ever.
Yeah. Why are you quitting drugs? Because I struggle to pee when I'm on drugs, so I'm not just gonna stop.
You know, a lot of times I get so high that I don't remember how to pee, and I just can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
That's how you
Still
get
haven't pissed
UTIs.
myself though, so that's a good start. It'll
Yeah.
come, I'm sure, one day.
Incontinence will get us all.
Can't do this. Screw it. I'm going to bed. Oh shit! I pissed myself.
You ever, while you're asleep, have to piss so bad that you have a dream about you having to go take a piss?
Yeah.
Like my dreams are they're so fucked up when that happens.
Yeah.
Like I'll go into a bathroom and there'll be like a million, urinals on the wall or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes. And then I'll go to take a piss and I'm like, I'm peeing in the dream. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how come I don't feel better? Like, why isn't this working? Like,
Yeah.
then I'll go to like a toilet and sit down and pee. And I'm like, this isn't working either. Or in my dream, like I'll need a bathroom, but it'll be so fucking disgusting that I don't want to set foot in it. So I spend my whole dream trying to find a bathroom, and I'm just like, oh God. And then I wake up and you're just like, I can't move.
Sometimes you can be dreaming and you're so convinced you're peeing in the dream that it shocks you awake thinking you're peeing in the bed.
Yeah. But
And it's like, oh shit, oh no, phew, thank God. You're like checking if you're wet, and it's
exactly.
like, no.
Luckily, I've had those dreams so many times, and I haven't peed myself, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm just dreading the day it happens because I know it's gonna happen.
That's why I've changed my drinking habits, because it's just I hate that kind of thing.
And the thing is, I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna lay down at 7:30. 7:25 comes along, and for some reason I get the worst cotton mouth I have ever gotten in my entire life. So I try to sip on a water bottle and it's like, no, dude, that's not going to help you. You have to chug. So I'll drink like this massive amount of water, and then I'm laying down and my stomach's all like, you can feel the water and it just, and then I know like I'm either going to wake up early or I'm going to wake up in pain.
Yep.
I just for the sake of trying, I think I want to try like, that was a 5-to-1 ratio, maybe like a 3-to-1 ratio, 2-to-1 ratio of a small dose or something, just to, experiment. But I got to do something, man. This not sleeping is messing me up. Yesterday, I was a mess.
Yeah.
I had like 4 hours of sleep, and then I was like hungover a little bit.
When I was in school, I think I was what they call, I think I was hyperinsomniac. So basically, it'd be almost impossible for me to get to sleep. It would usually be into like the early hours of the morning that I would actually fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
But then once I'd been asleep, I was ruined for the rest for like until like mid-afternoon. Like all throughout the morning, I was completely useless because I'd be sort of just sat there like that the entire time.
Yeah.
My mind was completely like hazed over. I might as well have still been asleep. And apparently that's what they call hyperinsomnia. You can't transition from one state to another very well. So it would take me 6 or 7 hours before and then I wake up and it'd be like, oh look, a miracle, I'm awake.
Yeah, I don't know how I got through high school because that's how I was. There were nights where I wouldn't sleep at all.
I think it's very common for teenagers. I'm not saying I was
maybe. And then I was like, I was riddled with anxiety, but I didn't know it was anxiety. Yeah. I thought it was just insomnia.
Yeah. I was completely hollow throughout my mid-teens, so that's just nothing going on. It's just
I had a lot going on, but
zombie.
I worried about so much. That was my thing. Any little thing, I was just like worrying about, like, oh my
I
god,
managed to avoid. I managed to avoid that until I was probably 14 or 15, and then it came hard, and then it was yeah.
Well, I also was pretty much told that I had massive depression since I was young, and I didn't know what it was. And then when my doctor
Yeah.
diagnosed me, I got mad at her. I was like, "That's fucking horse shit. I'm not depressed. I'm happy. Look at he."
See, I've never been to a doctor to discuss shit like that. I'd never go to a psychiatrist, never go to counselling. I just couldn't do it.
I
Even though I know there's
had
loads of
to.
reasons I should, but I just can't bring myself to do it.
I had to because it was my motivation was dead. Like it was affecting my
Yeah.
work life, my personal life, all that, and
Yeah.
it.
I've been through that, and I think I found myself. I think I have, in a lot of ways, worked a lot of my own shit out. I know there's a lot more
Mhm.
that needs to be worked out, but I've mostly been able to become functional again.
Yeah,
But
I've
I know
had
there's a lot more.
I've had 2 sessions with my like personal therapist. I feel great afterward. It's
Yeah.
like she's good. Like from the first one, our first 10 minutes of talking, I was like, I like you. What do we need to talk about? We need to talk about my scrotum. I can talk about my scrotum too. I don't care. Like it just like they got that trust right away,
Yeah.
and just like some of the shit she was telling me, like about my anxiety and how it's like part of my OCDs, and she's like, I want you to try to step out of your comfort zone. I was like, oh God, no. You don't know what that does to me.
There's a
But
comfort zone for a reason.
yeah,
I like being in it.
I liked
It's
it. Like,
comfortable.
yeah, but she's like, just the stuff she was telling me, I was like, Jesus fuck. Like I never thought of it that way. And it does make
The,
a lot of sense. And
the biggest thing I ever did was the first time I ever went to America. That changed my life in so many ways because I'd never done anything. So I,
impregnated
I
a
was,
local.
I was, hey,
I said impregnate a local.
I hope I didn't. No, it really helped, like the anxiety side of things, because I was so nervous and it was so difficult for me. But I forced myself to do it, and like when I got there, I was going to go to bed the first time, and I was like, "Fuck, why have I done this? Why have I done this?" And I just sat there and thought, "No, why have I done this? I've done this because if I don't do it, then that's it for me. I have to do this. You've reached the fucking rock bottom. You have to try something different. Otherwise, what else is there?"
Yeah.
So, and that really helped me, that moment of like, if you don't find it now, you're not going to find it.
So what
So
did you do?
just went through it in my head. I couldn't sleep at all.
Yeah. Oh,
And I was
just
at
go to
this,
sleep. Yeah.
well, no, it wasn't just go to sleep. It was everything. It was like, I
Yeah.
was like, I've gone halfway across the world. I'm nervous. I'm anxious. It's really, really heavy. And it was so out of my comfort zone. But I went, because I had decided I was going to do something really drastic,
Yeah.
because I felt so low at the time. I needed something big. And I was at that point where it was like, I can either let this anxiety consume me and I can go home and that's it for me. I'm done. Or I push through this, because at the moment I was at a sort of, it was all or nothing at that point then.
Yeah. Or I can drive to Arizona and get bit by a 2-year-old.
That was the second time. And then I decided I was going to go home again and go and hide back in my room.
Yeah, you got bit by a radioactive Vicente, man.
Yeah. My bed is it's 0.0000 in my world. You know, if there was a map of the world, bed, that
I
is the center, or a graph of the world.
Yeah, I can't sleep in odd places. Like
That is
even
0.0. But
I
it's
can
my safe
sleep.
place as well.
Yeah, I can sleep at one of my brother's house because I'm always there and I'm so
Yeah,
comfortable at that house.
yeah,
The couch, there's one spot in the couch. I'm like, that's my fucking spot. Like if someone else falls asleep on there, I'm fucking throwing you off the couch. But like if we stay at a hotel or something, like I feel so uncomfortable and I can't sleep. Like out of country, definitely same thing. Out of my comfort zone, I don't feel right. I'm just, it's anxiety. None of this is familiar. I don't know the escape routes. It's
yeah.
just
I'm not so bad as long as if I've got a series of locks, that helps me. Like if I can at least lock the door,
yeah.
even though I know it's silly, it makes me feel better knowing that door's locked.
Yeah, I think the last like hotel we stayed at, like I had my gun on the nightstand next to me, and I was just like, okay, okay.
It's not even a concern of, I don't know. I'm not even scared for like my own safety or anything.
No, and it's
It's
not that too. It's just
it's just yeah,
like a security blanket. So like
yeah,
when I sleep, no matter how hot it is, I have to be covered. Like I
yeah,
don't feel right if I'm not covered, and it's just
yeah. I'm the
uncomfortable.
same.
So that's kind of what it was. It was just like
Yeah,
I'm not home. I don't have my bed. So this is my security blanket. Like just
yeah. So I always used to take my own bedding everywhere. I used to need to have my own bedding.
yeah.
That made a big difference.
Yeah, I bet
Don't
that
know
would.
why.
Maybe I should try that
Yeah,
because it's not covered in semen from hotels and everything.
yeah. That often helps, but
Or
it's like
it's your own semen at least.
yeah, even just like the height of the cushions,
Yeah.
you get so used to that, and then as soon as it's different, it's like this isn't right. This is wrong. But
So we have these little corner stores here. They're called like CVS,
yeah,
and some of them have their own store brand, just horrible whiskey. Like it just says CVS whiskey on it. And when he had first started his page, his bourbon page, I remember like, hey man, I got this whiskey, I got this bourbon, I don't know what to think of it, you know, and do a little taste test. And he's like, well, what is it? I was like, well, I went to the local CVS and I got it. There's no real name brand on it. It just kind of says whiskey on it. And it was like, blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, I fucking hate you, John. I was like, but is it good though? Should I send it to you? He's like, fuck you.
do you want to feature it on your
Yeah.
page or?
Hey, this is some good stuff, man. But I did want to send them. There's some stuff we had here. It was a company called Sacred Stave, and it was a new company that opened up here, a new distillery in Arizona, and they have their own whiskey. And I was gonna send him some, but I think my dad got into my bottle and he just killed it. And I was like, what the fuck? I wasn't supposed to open this. So, that went out the window.
Yeah. Just gonna have to think of questions to ask him. Really,
Yeah. Well, I want to ask him like, is there something you want to have a little taste testing or something? Is there a bottle you want me to buy or a little
that's the
sampler
thing.
or something?
Yeah, the good value thing. But the thing is, because obviously I'm gonna have different stuff over here,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's gonna be different.
Yeah. It's gonna be imported bourbon
Probably.
because bourbon's only made in the USA.
I think that's the only difference between bourbon and whiskey, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Bourbon's just made in, and I think it's actually a couple
Tennessee.
of states. Tennessee,
I
yeah.
think it is. Yeah,
Like Jack Daniels.
the bourbon belt.
Jack Daniels is made in a dry county. They're not supposed to. Yeah, they're not supposed to drink there, but there's a distillery.
Maybe that's why it's so safe.
I hate Jack Daniels. I hate Jack Daniels so much. But the rodeo's sponsored by it, so I drink a ton of it during rodeo.
So I don't really drink spirits anymore. So I'm pretty much out of that game completely.
Well, you can't drink spirits. They're ghosts, Nick. God.
Is that why I always go ooh afterwards?
Yeah. And a little mist comes out. That's the episode, everyone. Thanks for watching Yankee and the Brit. Remember to like and subscribe. Tell everyone you know. We greatly appreciate it. Next week, we're going to have a good friend of ours on, Mr. Berms, and we are going to have our bourbon whiskey episode. Stay tuned. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be funny, too. He's a good guy. Have a good night, everyone. See you later.